Our repair has broken just under normal handling here. I kind of thought that was going to happen. I was being careful every time I picked it up or moved it, but still, it was just so fragile. Anyway, no matter what we decide to use here for the jack stand, whether it probably won't be this because it's just a little bit too heavy duty, but no matter what we use, I would like, if possible, to be able to use this base somehow. Because it's fairly realistic looking, and it's I haven't seen any photographs yet. I guess we'll eventually find them. However, I think it's probably advisable to fill in this little hole here at least a little bit, so that it doesn't look like a dark gaping cavern that something could fall into. I was going to use this putty here, but it's gotten kind of hard. I think I might be able to get some out. Or we could use the sprue goob, except I'm afraid that I might end up with just sort of a sticky mess going on. So I'm going to see if I can't just get a little bit of putty, work it in, and then maybe wipe the end off with a wet finger or something, like this. And then we can, fill this crack in. At least that's the plan. Once again, I'm just sort of thinking out loud here. It's too bad, it's really too bad that happened, but it did. And of course, we're going to have about at least a year probably before we want to, put this piece on. With this particular model, unlike what I did with the Bismarck, there was a lot of things I put along the side. Like if you remember, we did put the gangway that went down the side, or the ladder, whatever it was. Whereas with this, I don't want to be putting anything down the sides, or the jack stand, or the ensign flagstaff, or any of that kind of stuff until the ship is ready to go into the case. And I want those things to be the last thing we do. Because if you remember with the Bismarck, I was having a problem, with accidentally bending stuff and breaking stuff. So, yeah, okay, enough talk here. Let's see if we can fill this in. Okay, we may not need this for up to a year. We'll see how it goes. I've got a little bit of water here just in case I have to dilute it down. And we haven't used this stuff for a year and a half, so now I know I don't need that much, but I want to try and get some, get some fresh stuff up in the. Okay, hopefully I'll be able to use that again. Now, what do we got here? Let's just take just one little drop here and see if we can make something that's going to seem to be workable. Now I don't want to be getting it back onto the planking, or to the decking rather. All I want to do is just fill in that crack. Okay, let's see what's going to happen if we kind of trawl it off. something like this. Maybe if I wet my finger. All right, let's see what happens when that dries. I've done it one more time. I think it's going to be okay. At least I hope it doesn't shrink too much. I put a piece of 6mm tape on here just now, and when I was looking down at the drawing, I was thinking, you know what, this still looks too wide. And so I was thinking, now, where did I get the idea that 10mm was going to be just right, when even now 6mm is starting to look a little bit on the wide side? So I went back to my computer and I dug out the drawings that somebody else had done. And it seems it depends on who drew this thing as to the width of the boot line. So we're going to just go with the 6mm, and it's just going to have to do. It's a little narrower than what some people did, and a little wider what other people did. What it was in reality, I don't know. It's kind of hard to find an actual photograph that accurately shows the boot line. At least, well, it's probably out there somewhere. I just haven't come across it yet. But you know what? So long as it looks believable, that's going to be good enough. And as talking about looking believable, we were having problems with the jack stand yesterday. Well, I was having problems, and yeah, so it turns out that some people have one idea of what the jack stand looked like, as in this 3D rendering. And like I say, as long as it's going to be, we do something that looks believable, hey, that's going to be all right. It would be nice if we had it exactly right, but the ship, how long did it go anyway? About 20-something years before it sank? Well, they could have changed the jack stand a whole bunch of times. Well, let's just pretend they did anyway. Yeah, so several hours has passed now, and I had wanted to use my camera rotator here to show the bow. I wanted to show how the putty had dried, and I realized that we put down our new green cloth here, and the holes, well, I could sort of tell where they are. Anyway, I took my drill here and I was going to drill right there, and just as I was about to drill, I was remembering an incident that happened way back when I was in my early teens. And my dad was making sort of a filter for a carburetor, and he had just used wire metal screening, and he had to drill a hole through the frame, but it meant that when he drilled through the frame, the bit was also going to go through the screen. And I remember when Dad was about to start that, thinking, I wonder if the drill bit is going to catch on the screen, and the screen is just going to wind up on the bit. Well, I was thinking about this, and naturally I started very, very slowly here, and yes, the cloth did start to wind up. But anyway, the screen did catch on Dad's bit, and it did completely wind up, because back then they didn't have variable speed drills. It just was either all or nothing at all. So I remember laughing. I don't know if Dad was mad at me or what, but anyway, yeah. So I was thinking about that time way back. Oh my goodness, what would that be? 60 years ago now, I guess. Anyway, and it came to mind. It's funny how memory works, isn't it? Anyway, I've got to come up with something different here. My thought right now is maybe I could just replace this screw with a nail and just pound a nail through there. That'd be good enough, and it won't wind up on the cloth. Well, we'll think of something. What I did was I took a mirror and held it underneath my table so I could see the bottom. Being as it's pretty hard to crawl underneath things now at my age and my size. Anyway, I found one of the original holes here. And yeah, I think something like this is going to work okay. I know that I've mentioned this before, but just in case somebody's watching me for the first time here and they don't know, why did you clap? Well, the reason I clap is so later on when I'm editing out these two different video files, I can match them up. If I can sync up the sound, I've synced up the picture, and I get it to within about a 30th of a second. The reason it's a 30th of a second is because these cameras are both running at 30 frames per second. I do not want to give the false impression by what I'm about to say here that I spend all day long at the model table. However, I do often during the day spend all day long at the model table. Now, I don't know if that made any sense, but well, it kind of does to me. If I was to take all the time that I spend doing crazy things like this that interest me, and I enjoy doing them, and just strictly put that time into building our hood, I'm guessing our hood would probably be done in 2 or 3 months. But then I wouldn't have as much fun. And as I've said so many times in the past, this is all about having fun. We have another little dilemma going on here, at least I do. It seems that the last couple of days are fraught with dilemmas. Yeah, sort of tempests in a teapot. Anyway, one of the viewers mentioned to me that he found out that the boot line was actually about 8 feet tall, which works out to about 12 millimeters to scale. Now, I didn't do the math, but I'll accept his figuring on that. Anyway, I was wondering, where did he find it? So I Googled HMS Hood boot line, and this came up. Well, it's from the Hood Association website. I should have known they'd know. Anyway, now what do? Do we have 6 millimeters, 10 millimeters, or 12 millimeters? Well, I don't have 12 millimeter wide tape. I got to decide. I think we can probably go ahead and paint the side of the hull black where we're going to put the tape on. But I got to make up my mind here. What width of tape am I going to put on? Maybe I'm back to the 10 millimeter again. Now, in order for this system to work, where we painted the black boot line on first instead of last. Now, painting it on last makes the most sense, but I wanted to try this new system, and if you remember a few episodes ago, we did this sample here, and it seemed to work out pretty good, as you can see. And we'll be using the Stynylrez black, and don't really have time to do that now this afternoon. I've wasted too much time. Well, I guess I didn't really waste it. I had fun. Anyway, yeah, we've got to cut this video off today. So, all being well, we'll be putting our black along the side here tomorrow. And then we're going to have to let it dry really good because I want to put the tape on. Probably thinking maybe the 10 millimeter now, but I don't know. I don't know. In the comments below, what do you think? Should I go with the 10 or the 6? Even the 10 might be more true to life, but I think it kind of looks kind of wide. But excuse me, it's not all about what it looks like, it's about what it was, right? Anyway, what do you think? 10 or 6? And in the meantime, thanks for watching, and all being well, we'll see you tomorrow.